Hello, this is Lojane. Lojane has a problem where Maya shuts down when trying to render. Um, it's hard to know why that's happening, but let's take a quick look at the images. Looks like you got your model in there and it's looking nice in the tone. But yeah, it's not rendered. There's no real shadows or anything or textures. So but it's I obviously it's because of that problem. I guess the first thing I check, you mentioned below that I believe you're using Maya 2015 and you're using Service Pack 6. Um, and yeah, then the question is which renderer are you using? So in Maya, if you click on this button right here, you'll get the render settings, and then you can try both Maya Software and Mental Ray. And if Maya Software is the one crashing it, maybe you want to switch to Mental Ray and see if you can get it to render there, or vice versa. So yeah, give that a shot of using a different renderer than the one you're using. It's hard to know what's crashing it if you're not getting any errors. I would also make sure you're working inside of the Silver City project. So all of you should be, setting your project to the Silver City project. Which I have right here, set, and that'll set the project. And then set your project first, then open your scene. If you have any textures, make sure they're in the source images folder for that directory, and that sometimes solves problems as well. So that's my suggestion, without knowing more. So this is Malcolm. Malcolm had trouble finding several people had trouble finding the files to merge the town. I'm sorry if that was confusing in the module. Macarius was nice enough to post this answer for everyone, which shows you that if you click on the media button and then go under module 4, you'll find the SolarVidi zip file here, and you can download it from there. So thank you for that, Macarius. And yeah, that was answered in a couple different places. Yeah, so obviously that's good, but you've got a long way to go. So I would say resubmit when you have 3 renders of the tone. So Lee's struggling here. He's got these fatal error messages appearing. So a couple things. One is Lee, if you could tell me, you know, if you're getting this consistently, what are you doing? What's happening right before it crashes? Because that might give us a hint as to why it's happening. The next thing that I think that Ryan also pointed out is, have you tried installing Service Pack 6? So for all of you using Maya 2015, if you go into Help and go to About Maya, it says version Autodesk Maya 2015 SP6, which stands for Service Pack 6. So if we go to just Google Maya 2015 Service Pack 6, and here's the link right here, and then just scroll down and download for your version. So if you're on Windows, it's going to be this one. If you're on Mac, it's going to be that one. That would be a good idea if you're not currently on Service Pack 6, and I think some of the issues that we're seeing will go away when you do that. But yeah, without more information than that, it's hard to guess as to why it's happening. So give that a shot and get back to us. So here's Lucas. Lucas is using my 2015 Service Pack 6. And first let's take a look at his renders. Yeah, we've got some nice shadows on here. I'm wondering why these are black. Maybe there's a missing texture or something. They look a little bit too dark. Oh yeah, that's looking really nice with the textures on there and a lot of good detail. This and that look mysteriously bit too black, which makes me think that maybe you're missing a texture image or something, or it's not linked properly. The wood on here is looking very nice, and I like these shadows here as well, so good work on that. And also interesting camera angle where you have the stuff in the foreground framing in the shot, so all that looks really good. Your question here, what's the current most used version? It's a bit of a hard question to answer. So the typical process at, say, a visual effects or animation or game company is that at the start of a project, they will determine what version of Maya they're going to use, and then they will stick with that version for the duration of the project. So in an animated feature, which can span 3 years and even more, they'll typically stick with whatever version of Maya, they chose at the beginning of it, which is probably going to be most recent one or near to the most recent one. So what you'll find is that, in these professional studios, you won't necessarily be working on the most recent version right off the bat. They have to, check it carefully and make sure it works with all their custom tools and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and I'm eager to see this in all classes get a new version with the new Maya, and I'm sure the Academy is going to work on that soon. But for now, because the class has the videos in Maya 2015, it would be better to use Maya 2015. Service Pack 6 version seems to be very stable. There are some cool new things in 2016 and 2017, but nothing that really impacts this class. So because it's a relatively beginner class, so you're really not missing out on anything by using this version at this time. So yeah, I would recommend that. So long answer to a short question. So we got Victoria. It's good work on this. You got the shadows, the cast shadows going, which is nice. I would say that these shadows are too dark. On a sunny blue sky day, the shadows are quite dark compared to the lit areas, but there's enough bounced light in a scene that they're not going to be, completely black like that. So you could do, a really kind of simple approach is just to add an ambient light that just kind of brings up everything, but certainly it'll bring up your shadows. And I'm wondering what that is right there. Is that some little flame or something? But yeah, again, these shadow areas are just too dark. So yeah, ambient lights aren't necessarily favored, but for this assignment, I think it would be a fine way for you to kind of lift those shadows a little bit so we can see some of the detail in those areas. But yeah, otherwise, good job on this. It's nice work, and if you wanted to, you could tint the color of the light a little bit more too. But yeah, good work on this. This is Vici. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Feel free to correct me if I'm not. So yeah, good work. You got the town put together. You've got some cast shadows. I think sort of the opposite of what I said in the last one. I think you could let these shadows actually be a little darker. There might be a little bit too much light in the scene, and it's kind of washing things out. And yeah, so maybe kind of reduce the number of lights. You mentioned the menus looking different. You're just using a different version of Maya. The class was recorded either in 2014 or 2015. I'm recommending people use Maya 2015 with Service Pack 6 for this class mentioned earlier in this video. Oh yeah, I like this is interesting framing, looking through the window like that. That's kind of cool. Good choice of good camera work there. And yeah, sort of similar to the first one. But again, just a little washed out looking in the colors. And I think that horse sort of looks like it's floating above the ground here. If you look, the feet aren't touching the shadow. And I don't know, for some reason, I don't know if these buildings are off the ground too. It's just something you might want to check if they're not resting right on the ground, because it kind of looks like they're not. Like I'd expect a shadow to be coming off of that right there. See how, yeah, it really looks like everything's floating right above the ground. So maybe, yeah, just take a look at that in the scene file. It might maybe need to move the ground up or move some of the buildings down. But yeah, other than that, good work on this. This is Macarius. Yeah, really good work on the textures here. Some really good textures you've got on the surface, looking really realistic there. Oh, slightly different colors going on here. I actually like this. I think I like this first one with the warmer colors a little bit better. I'm imagining that's the tint of your light. Yeah, that looks good from this angle as well. And you've got the cast shadows going, which is always helpful. Yeah, overall, really good. Um, and then you've also turned in your file for assignment 5, and we can take a look at that while we're here. Yeah, the proportions look really good. I think they're quite close. I think that maybe these little beams on the doors could be a little thinner if you look at the kind of the height there and the height there. But that's kind of a minor issue. Yeah, this little kind of area coming out could use a little bit of width. It's a little bit thin, so you could extrude those edges out. Get a little thickness. And then if you wanted to kind of go nuts with it, you could, um, kind of do some of that rounding stuff, but that's sort of above and beyond. But let's see what happens if we smooth that. Yeah, you kind of get part way there with that, and then I might do something like grab a vertex and hit W for move mode, B for soft select, hold down B, click and drag to increase the area there, and push that in. And see, then you could go around and kind of put in some of that shape there, something like that. So if you wanted to sort of take it to the next level, that would be something you could do. But yeah, good work on both of those. I just noticed that Lojane pointed out to save your color managed image when you're saving it in here. Let's download that so we can all see that a little easier. So I guess that's when you're saving it from the render view. When you render it, file save, and then save color managed image. So maybe that's some of your issues with it being dark. Robert has a question here about assigning different textures or different faces. So I can show that real quick. Let's get a new model in here. Just gonna show two panes side by side, and let's put the hypershade in one side. And so now I can right mouse click, go to face, and then select certain faces. And if I go create material Lambert, or I could just click on Lambert here. I probably should have done that before. So let's say this one's like mostly transparent for a window, and then once again I can select those faces and assign the material to that, and then that's transparent. You can see. So yeah, not much of a trick to it. Just select the faces, then right mouse click and assign material to the selected faces. So this is Nancy. Some really nice work on this. Look at all the props that Nancy built on here, and like your door handles, and a lot of nice detail on the door. We've got cast shadows, the light kind of hitting it from the front. Yeah, some nice wood texture on here, looking good. And look at, the individual wood paneling that's put in there. That's, some nice work. So yeah, really good work on this. Not much comment on it. Maybe the texture on the stove is too black. Maybe something a little lighter so it's absorbing a little more light. But overall, yeah, really good work on this. Not too much to comment on. So now we have Ryan, another scene looking very good. Nice Undertaker building here. You can see kind of the dirt and damage to the door and stuff like that, and the wood, which is really nice. You can clearly see you've got cast shadows here. Don't know why the sky's coming in so dark there, so that might be something to adjust. And you mentioned here you couldn't get the lighting right. It'd be good, just tell me a little bit more about what you're trying to achieve and what you're going for, and we can work on that. Probably adding some other lights in different areas to light it up could help. But yeah, it's looking good. Yeah, not too many comments. I think maybe lighting up this area. You could put like another light facing this way that's sort of representing a bounce light, because if you had really bright sunlight hitting these buildings, that light would then bounce and kind of from this direction hit the sunlight there. So even another directional light with shadows turned off kind of facing this way to kind of fill in a lot of these areas could look pretty good. Or for if it's just one building, you can try playing with area lights too. I'm kind of a fan of area lights. Be careful with area lights though, because the bigger you make them, the more light they shed. So you have to keep in mind the scale, unlike with other lights, really does affect the amount of brightness when you play with area lights. This is Brian's scene. Yeah, it's looking really good. There's some very nice textures on here. Those are looking kind of black, those columns, so I'm wondering if it's missing the texture image or something. And overall it's a bit dark, and I would say that the shadows are, for a bright sunlit day, the shadows are very soft. You'd want harder shadows typically than you have going on here. And I don't know how you're doing those. It's hard to tell just looking from the image, but if it's depth map shadows, you might want to try ray trace shadows. But yeah, it's good that you have the shadows. It's just that in a sunlit day in a blue sky, the shadows are very hard. If you can look at some reference images, or even look outside on a sunny day, and can see how hard the shadows are. It means not a soft edge. It means like kind of a very hard edge between the shadow area and the lit area. So yeah, overall just looks like some missing textures or something for those black surfaces, and then harder shadows. But overall this looks very nice. I think you've done good work, and there's good textures on here, and you got your renders done, so good work on that. So this is Sheng Xiang. Apologies if I mispronounce your name. And yeah, so this looks like more like not rendered. There's no lights with cast shadows, so probably, yeah, so it looks like you had struggling with the lighting. It says you have 2015, but you can't add the right light, and can't rotate the building. So not sure what the deal is. So when I opened this in my 2015, I got this error where I've got this strange surface there. So I can show this in either. I have it in 2017 as well. It's really, everything's about the same, so it doesn't much matter how I show it. But as far as rotating the building, I would first say edit, delete all by type, history. Oops, sorry, that's select all by type, delete all by type, history. So that gets rid of any history on the surfaces, which can cause some strange results. Select all the objects, edit, group options, center of the pivot group, and now you should be able to rotate the building just fine, or if you need to scale it as well. That should work okay. And then when you select it again, you want to pick it from the group node. So, well, there's a lot of kind of old junk in here. One quick way to do that is to select one thing and hit the up arrow a few times, and it'll pick the group. And you might want to just go through and select, yeah, really all that stuff, and boom, get rid of it, clean up your file. Yeah, but I'm not sure what's going on with that, because when I opened that in 2017, that's fine. So something funny happened, but no matter. And then for the light, yeah, just not sure, what the issues. We have lights right here. You've got directional light. Just kind of scale it up. You can point it at the object. For using, for example, Maya software render, can render it, if I want the shadows to show up, you can see that you got ray trace shadows turned on for the light. If we go into render globals, or I should say render settings right here, go under ray tracing quality, turn that on, hit the render button. Got some cast shadows there, and then if you want to get some of the detail back, you can create, again, this is not maybe the best way to do this, but it's a way to do it. So this is an ambient light, and that should kind of fill in your shadows, probably knock that down some. So it's starting to fill in the shadows a little bit, maybe touch higher, something like that. Okay, so yeah, I hope that's helpful to you. So that's everybody who had a render turned in of some kind. So yeah, a few of you haven't got these in, or a few of you had some issues, and just with this and with every module, it stays open a week after it's due. So please, if you get this finished and you get your renders done, please turn them in, and you can definitely get credit for those assignments. So that is important to do. So yeah, if you have some fixes to do, or yeah, please do turn those renders in. You can turn them right here, right in your same post, just further down here, add a comment and post your thing in there, and I'll come back and look at it then. All right, thanks everybody.